Good evening. This is the February 12th, 2025 meeting of the Brisbane Parks and Recreation Commission. I'm going to now call the meeting to order at 6:34 p.m. And roll call. Do we want to do a roll call?
Yep, we'll go ahead. Starting with Chairperson Sims.
Aye. Here.
Commissioner Greenlee.
Here.
Commissioner Ocampo.
Here.
Commissioner Sewell.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, let's look to adopt the agenda. Do any commissioners have any edits to the agenda? All right, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda. Or to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All right, we have the approved agenda, and next we move on to the minutes.
Sorry,
So-
Julie.
Oh.
Just gonna stop you there for a quick sec. We'll do a roll call for the agenda adoption.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll just make it quick. Chairperson Sims.
aye.
Commissioner Greenlee.
Aye.
Commissioner Ocampo.
Aye.
Commissioner Sewell.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, next we move on to the approval of the January 8th, 2025 minutes. Can I get a motion to adopt those minutes?
All adopted.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Approving last month's meeting minutes. Chairperson Sims.
Aye.
Commissioner Greenlee.
Aye.
Commissioner Ocampo.
Aye.
Commissioner Sewell.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to citizen communications. Do we have any?
No.
All right, that brings us to presentations. No presentations tonight. And that brings us to new business, planning for Mental Health Awareness Month and Water Safety Month.
Sorry, old business first.
Oh, sorry, I skipped right over it. Old business, concerts in the park fundraising.
Yeah, so I know that the Concerts in the Park Subcommittee met on the 30th of January, but we felt that it might make sense to put it on the agenda under old business so that there could be some dialogue and discussion amongst the other commissioners who weren't present for that meeting as a follow-up to the preliminary fundraising conversations that were had. So Nicole's here and she's happy to speak to it, but I know there's a couple of representatives from that subcommittee if you want to just share out from that meeting, and then there can be some discussion.
Yeah. And Nicole, I don't know if you want to go or if you want me to go and talk about some of the things. Okay,
And then we
great.
can fill in from there. So some of the items that we discussed, mostly the commission really wanted to look into our sponsorship for the event. And as we've discussed previously, the fundraising that we do the year prior is the money that would then go to the upcoming concert series. And we did fall a bit short than what we are used to with the last round of donations. So we really wanted to be creative with our planning for this year. So we have mapped out kind of a plan to do so. And in that, one of the suggestions, which can't believe we hadn't done it sooner, donations had primarily been check donations. And so we do now have an online platform to be able to donate, which hopefully will help us in soliciting more donations there. The other recommendation is just exploring some cool merch that we can sell. Thinking of it kind of like outside lands merchandise, cool. You think concerts, you think of cool merchandise. So that's another avenue that we're going to be working on. And then also kind of putting it back on the commissioners to make sure that they are attending those dates for the concert. So we laid out the dates and we've already finalized our bands. And so really hoping to continue to finalize having at least 2 commissioners at each concert event to be able to continue to help with fundraising at that point too. And then we kind of outlined what we've already been doing this concert season for fundraising and what we are still planning to do. So I don't know if there was anything within that that I'm missing or you wanted to speak more to.
I mean,
Sorry.
oh, did you want to go?
I just want to know
Tom?
how short we are. I mean, how much do we want to raise?
So previously we've raised anywhere from like probably closer to 12 to 15,000. Last year, don't quote me, I want to say it was closer to about 9,000. I will say, we have booked our bands this year within that threshold.
Recording in progress.
Oh, wonderful.
Mm.
So we have booked our bands within that threshold and we have great bands, but it's always nice to be able to have that cushion and to be able to continue to work towards having, the best of the best that we can offer. And usually that's within that $12,000 to $15,000 amount. So right now, we're very, very early on for this, again, would be funding for next summer. So I think at this point, we've gotten about 3,000, I want to say. But that's with very initial, we've just gotten started.
Well, and one of the things we discussed is I just don't think it's evident to people that we're asking them for like individual and household donations necessarily, because how it reads is a little like corporate donations or if you have a corporation. So I think we really want to emphasize that in the flyer that goes out with the water bill and just as commissioners when we talk to people and in all of the language that this is something you can do, because I know I didn't realize that initially, actually, until Frank made a donation. I did make a donation, by the way. I tested out the site. But the other thing I wanted to get your opinions on is we talked about just making donating more attractive to people. So maybe they'd automatically be entered in a raffle for some swag, or they would get a t-shirt at a certain level. And I'm interested in your thoughts around that.
I think that's a great way to do. I also am pretty, now that you've talked about the electronic ability for people to donate at the events, to have a QR code that we can say, do you love this band? If you love this band, show your support. There's a QR code. Donate for next year. We really want to get the best bands. And maybe, if I was there and I loved the band and I wanted the band to show up, and you can, just really sell it as, let's pay for these bands. Let's get these artists some money, and I like the idea of a raffle. If we could come up with some maybe corporate prizes that we could get donated, that would be fun. And just go around, have the yak mill around in the crowd selling raffle tickets, at the event. I mean, I'm not sure we'll make, hundreds of dollars, but it couldn't hurt. And also I think whatever we can do to raise the awareness that the community is just as responsible as corporations for pitching in to make this event happen, so they can kind of take ownership. Because it's a fun event besides the music. Everyone comes and brings food and just has a great night out or great day out, whatever it is. It's our community picnic. So I'm sure people would want to support it if they knew how. So.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the other thing we talked about was having commissioners at each of the concerts who were going to kind of pass the hat around because getting people when they're excited and they're having a good time is kind of the time. And I thought we could look at all the dates and see if like 2 commissioners could tag team on that. And maybe Lisa, we could use some of your artistic skills to create a really fun vehicle to take in the money, and we should have a QR code so people can just scan it.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, I like the vessel. I'll come
Yeah.
up.
We need to research music that provokes spending.
Yes.
And wine.
Well, do you think, I mean, kind of on that note, do you think that maybe we could, I don't know, this is probably an extra layer, but show a film at, a quick film that says, how much we love concerts in the park and how you can help donate, just like a commercial before the,
That's a good idea. I think the band could just do it too, and they can announce for themselves. I feel bad about taking them out of the loop as far as a hat too. So maybe there's a
Oh,
hat
yeah.
for Park and Rec, and then there's a hat for the band.
So that's a question, because I've been strongly anti-hat for the band because we are paying them.
Right.
Like quite a bit of money. And I
and
get
if we
it,
raise more
musicians
money,
don't-
we can pay them more.
That's the message, right? If we raise more money, then we'll have more money to pay them. And I hear what you're saying, Tom. It's a rough thing being a musician in this day and age and making enough money. So I don't know, Nicole, any thoughts there in terms of norms with bands and
Of having like a hat out. I feel like I've seen it both ways, but
Yeah.
I mean, as long as we identify it in the beginning, it shouldn't be an issue. And to the point, if we were to have more donations moving forward, then we can have a higher amount to bargain with moving forward. So yeah, I would say, especially if we're trying to buy for donations, that not to have to say it in advance, and Jeff is totally fine with making that ask up front.
yeah, and I think it's how we position it, that we just are, hoping to make more money so we can pay our bands like them more.
But it wouldn't be directly. Like that day, we're asking for money, we're not paying the band. It's the money that it's for next year. But we want to bring them back, and
Yeah.
we want to bring good music and good times back. And so we have to pay for it. And how can we help?
Any other thoughts there? So it sounds like we're gonna, do you all, is it too early to go through dates and assign commissioners to things? We're missing 2 commissioners.
Yeah.
So maybe let's do
just-
that at another meeting.
Yeah. Or just sign up email, whatever works.
Yeah.
And if the concert subcommittee, because those dates have been sent to them first, if you guys want to maybe start by letting us know, and then I can share out with the rest of the commission what remaining dates are.
And it looks like, Nicole, we have to-do items from the chairs for concert dates sign up, right? We need 2 commissioners. We're looking to have 2 signups, right? For the commissioner to either solicit the donations, what we were talking about earlier. And I think you just sent that out, right? Yep.
Yeah, and so there's the 5 concerts, and then the Lions Club one we don't normally have. That's kind of self-run. So really, we're looking at the commissioners to be at the Friday the 11th, which is Pride and Joy, the Friday the 25th, which is going to be Fast Times Band, August 3rd, Dirty Cello, and August 10th, which is Michelle Lambert.
And if we did have some really cool T-shirts, if we were wearing them at that first one, it would influence people to want to get theirs, and staff were wearing them.
Yeah. I love cool t-shirts.
Do we have money for that, Nicole? Or,
That's, yeah, Noreen has some ideas up her
We're
sleeve.
working on it.
okay.
And then it was also mentioned of, I think the wine and beer conversation is one that we have anytime we have events. And obviously we know how successful Festival of Lights just went. And it kind of goes back to the conversations of if we were to have our foundation, I know, but continuing to keep that in the back of our mind of if we are intending to have wine and beer, if we know of someone who's going to be the lead on that. And again, if that was something that we could find a way for it to contribute back to donations for the concert series, that would be wonderful. But
Yeah.
those are things that we're continuing to consider.
Yeah, vending I think is made the concerts in the park funner, and I like to encourage vending. I don't want to take the money from the vending, but if there's something we can add to, that would be awesome. Like a really good ice cream truck, or something that we that we hire that could be for raising money, but doesn't compete with, the Lions and Julie's and all that.
We should have our own presence there, our own booth.
Yeah,
And that's where we can drive it.
yeah.
I mean, that's a question, Nicole. Like, could we man a booth and just make money for Parks and Recreation there?
Like with the swag and
Yeah. And
the two commissioners.
Okay.
My mic on. We have our Park and Rec booth with staff and programs and events. I mean, we could then have another pop-up tent specifically for commission. And
could we sell alcohol?
Or twin, oh.
that gets a little gray.
Yeah, the city selling alcohol, I don't know.
Okay, we need to wait until we have
No
our
gambling either.
Well, I wanted to do a 50-50 raffle. And I think there are rules around that. Yeah.
There is, yeah.
Okay, here's a wacky idea. What if we just had like funny rock star, like 80s rock star backgrounds where people could get their picture taken in the booth? It said that
I
would
love
get
it.
people to the booth
Oh, I love that.
and then ask for a
Yeah, like
donation.
psychedelic.
Like a memory photo, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so lots of ideas to go back to committee. All right. Anything else on that topic before we move on to our new business?
Are we still on events or we're just doing concerts in the park? Okay.
Just concerts at this
Okay.
time.
Got it.
All right, let's move on to new business then. And now talk about the planning for Mental Health Awareness Month and Water Safety Month.
And so again, with that, we had an event subcommittee meeting, and of that, we talked about a few different things, but specifically with regards to Mental Health Month and Water Safety Month, we shared with the subcommittee the items that we did last year for Mental Health Month, specifically the walk. Lisa made the recommendation last year. We did about a little over a mile. I think it was like a mile and a half of the loop. And this year recommending to do the full loop, continuing to collaborate with the library. I did speak with them about some of the work that we've done with the county and the loneliness epidemic that's very prevalent, and the county has done a lot of work on. And so that was something that the subcommittee had recommended, leaning into that topic as we approach Mental Health Month. And I think always with the focus of, and it was brought last year, of trying not to focus too hard on the more sad, exactly, topics. We can still educate, but still find our Park and Rec spin of how can we promote inclusivity and community. And so really then looking at Water Safety Month, which I feel like we haven't highlighted too much, but finding a way to pair the two potentially, of maybe putting some more water-focused events within our mental health planning. We know we have a robust water aerobics program. There's been recommendations for some water walking time. There is a recommendation from the subcommittee to explore like a day in the sun, maybe specifically for our seniors, and maybe that's at the pool. So kind of finding ways to intertwine the two topics. And also, of course, we just rolled out our action plan. So if there's elements that we can expose our action plan to the community during that time, that was the direction that was brought up at the subcommittee, and wanted to at least see if there was any further ideas that sparked from that dialogue or anything we might be missing.
There's got to be somebody that knows about endorphins and water sports and tying it to mental health and feeling better. I don't know if we can get a specialist to talk about that, or, you know, at least tie it into feeling better. I always feel amazing after I jump in the water, you know. Never want to, but afterwards I always feel great, you know. I'm not sure if there's anyone that specializes in that.
I'm sure we could explore if there's some statistics. NRPA, which is the National Recreation Park Association, usually has a robust toolkit of mental health information as well as statistics like that. So we could definitely lean into that.
Fill the whole pool with ice to do an ice plunge.
Nicole, there's also this pairing the two. I've went to one of those float spa places where you actually float and you use water as a thing, as I don't know, just listening into the water, quiet. And I think finding something like that and utilizing our pool where sometimes people could be nervous swimming, right? And then, or basically they use, and that would be helpful on them relaxing and just feeling the movement of water.
Oh, wow.
That's what you feel like when you go to one of those float spas.
So we originally, when we reached out to our sound bath instructor that we've worked with a couple times now, that was kind of my long-term idea, was to try and have something at the pool at some point. And I think now with the success of the most recent 2 programs that we have a third one coming up, that we mentioned kind of going back to that idea of looking at a sound bath in the water. And even Sarah had some ideas with even just using pool noodles versus like the big old mats. So I actually have that on the list here of something that we could explore.
Yeah, some kind of guided meditation even, you know.
Yeah, yoga, meditation, leaning into.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I'd love to have a sound bath for Mental Health Awareness Month too. I know
Yeah.
we've been having these, and is there a way to do that that's maybe city sponsored?
Good stuff.
I think also with Water Safety Month, it's always interesting to hear how, if there's like the population of Brisbane on who can actually swim versus who can't swim, right? Because that's really important. You have people that have like a phobia of just being in the water and just like getting like, that stat, like, did you know, like this. And I think like implementing something like that with like the fear of water and overcoming that.
I think that I didn't want to go to a dark place because I know there's a lot of darkness right now. But I do think there's an educational component to water safety. I mean, just the did you know, like it is one of the most common causes of like death for babies and toddlers, and just not to bring everybody down, but just maybe an education piece that month could be helpful.
Yeah, like first aid or,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a statistic of that more children die, and I could be wrong, this could be old information, more children die from drowning in a pool than they do from firearms.
Yes, I mean, it's a shocking number, and it doesn't take much water at all, which I
Right.
think is the other thing.
That's
like,
the other thing.
for someone to drown.
Yep.
I also wonder, because I think we have such fantastic lifeguards, if we could do something to honor them or to, you know, give them kudos.
Yeah. Spotlight on the lifeguards.
Noted. Thanks for the added ideas, and looking forward to continuing to put that together.
All right, so if there's no more new business, we are moving on to reports. I do not have a report to share tonight, but we do have a lot of subcommittee reports to share, starting with the Public Art Advisory Committee meeting held on January 21st.
Was that the one with the artists? Oh, it was fabulous. Okay, so the artists actually came to our annex and gave presentations of further fleshing out the new installation that's going to happen on Alvarado San Benito staircase. And, we picked these artists because we liked their style and we could envision, what it would look like. But it was It was really nice. These people are real pros. So we got their presentation. We also had some input from from the neighbors. We're just there, kind of observing, and just kind of working out the whole project. But it's on the fast track because the money has to be spent fairly quickly, right, in order to kick in. And so that was gone over, and everybody's ready to go, and we loved what they presented, and that's about it. That's all I can say.
Were the neighbors invited? Or
Oh,
did they
yeah.
hear about it?
Yeah.
They were invited. That was smart. That's a smart move.
Well, I think that it's critical that the neighbors, because it's such a narrow space,
Yep.
they're going to be butted right up against this stuff. So I think it's critical. And it's also critical, just in general, aren't these open to the public, these meetings? Yeah, so it's anytime we're doing any meetings like this, even just having the public show up and put in their 2 cents is always appreciated.
What was the level of optimism
It
from
was
the neighbors?
It was, well, it was only one neighbor, and it was, I would say, hesitantly optimistic, but still kind of holding, everybody wants to just see how it's going to flesh out, and that's what's going to happen,
Makes sense.
basically. Because it's nothing's really designed in stone yet. They were just tossing out elements and showing us samples, and so, yeah.
All right, well, thank you for that update. Next, we have the Events Subcommittee meeting on January 27th.
That was fun.
It was a lot.
We talked about a lot of them today already.
Yeah. We didn't talk about the garden tour.
That's your baby.
I know, it's my baby. The garden tour this year is coming up, and we decided, which I think is really smart, to not have the garden tour and the garden show at the same year. So we're going to alternate those. So if we have a garden tour, we're not doing the garden show. Doing the garden show, we're not doing the garden tour. So then we have a kind of a biannual schedule for that. And we talked about how to make it different this year, but also as fabulous. We recommended the price, and we have not talked about, or we haven't decided yet. Like the first year we had it was kind of seat of our pants, and so we asked the Lions to step in and get the donations, and so they did that, and that was great. This year, we were thinking maybe we do something else, like it donates, it benefits something else, but we don't know what. Or maybe it is the Lions. We have to, I'm sorry, what?
Or we're saying the concert, like if it was something.
Oh, yeah, or for concerts in the park, or we're raising money for concerts in the park. It's not a lot of money, but, it's a popular event. So if you guys have any ideas of who could benefit or how we tie this,
I mean, I'm biased, but I always like the Lions to benefit.
Well, yeah, and the money for the Lions goes directly to the community. So that's always a good selling point. So I'm okay with just keeping it at the Lions. Also, what's great about the Lions is they show up and volunteer. They man the table, they do some of the work, and so staff isn't completely left to do it all day long.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good point. So we talked about that. We talked about starting it maybe at Firth Park instead of the community garden this year, and just because people never go to that park, and it'd be a fun park to go to. We need a call of gardeners at this point. I've got to put feelers out. If anybody knows of cool gardens in Brisbane that they can recommend, let me know, because I don't want it to always be the same. We need 10 gardens, and I
I
don't.
agree. Should we put something on socials and all the stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, we got to ramp that up. Last year, well, I mean, I'll work with staff, but I do have the pulse of some gardeners that are friends of mine.
Yeah.
So I can depend on some of them, but I don't want to do all the same. I want to do many different, as many different as possible. And again, we talked about how we're not inventing it from scratch. Last year, we kind of had to come up with everything. This year, we have a template. Sarah did a lot of work with the map and everything. And we kind of know the schedule. We kind of know the limitations of how many people we can handle, how many gardens we can handle. And so it's going to be easier this year, but it's still going to be a lot of work.
Can we repurpose the film for marketing this? That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be wonderful.
Fantastic idea. And the other thing is, I remember we sold out last
Yes.
year. So can we accommodate more people?
How many did we say that we were going to try and keep it at?
We said we'd raise the price though a little bit.
We
Yeah.
had said to accommodate the selling out, we were raising the price a little bit, but we had about 90 people, a little under 100. I think we had like 93. And that was very manageable because it's still people going to people's homes. And,
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to be keeping it the same number, but knowing that it's popular.
So 90 is the number, $25 a ticket for adults, $10 for seniors and kids. Teens are free. Kids and teens are free. Sorry. Yeah, and we sold out last year, so I'm anticipating selling out again.
Yes.
I mean, I'm hoping. So
And with the fee, what does that come with, the $25? Is that like
you get a map,
okay.
and you get to go to everybody's houses.
Exercise.
Yeah, and
They had a bag.
they
that
had a
we
bag
made.
of stuff. Oh yeah, you got a little bag that said Brisbane Garden Tour. The thing about it is that when you go to these gardens, people sometimes have refreshments. They have cuttings from their garden. You get to talk about the plants. You get to hang out in beautiful gardens, and it just is kind of a party.
Okay.
That's the point. So you're not just paying for a tour. You're paying to kind of go and have this experience.
And educational of like how to grow your own and use
yeah.
that for your own. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and Brisbane, knowing Brisbane's microclimate, knowing what plants work, looking at what people are doing, repurposing art in their garden, lots of art and lots of cool art. So there's lots of reasons to go on this tour.
I thought it was so fun last year. I have to say, it was just really cool to see like people who are growing different kinds of crops. I mean, the woman who had 38 kinds of blueberries in her backyard.
That's hard to top. She's amazing. Grace. Go Grace. Yes, and what else?
Well, we talked about Day in the Life, the pushpin event.
Oh,
which-
yeah, that else. Yeah.
Which, I'm kind of thinking and we also talked about film festival for kids and adults, and maybe those could be combined. I'm still kind of working it out after your great notes, by the way. I think those two events could be combined. I did find there's a touring children's film festival that's nationwide, which would be really cool. And we were just talking about having a local kid have them submit, but if nobody gets in, we could do an audience award for some of the films that are produced in town. And maybe it could be a day in the life kind of, that's the theme. Film a day in the life in Brisbane could be the theme. So just fleshing those out.
I'm so excited.
I would
for
love
that.
to bring back the festival for fundraising for us.
Yeah.
And tap Madison's brain for that.
Because the great thing about, just a comment, the great thing about the Luna Fest was it was really a night out. And great films.
People dressed up and yeah.
Yeah, and there were cocktails and noshes, and
A lot
was-
of work, but
it was a lot of work, but it was worth it,
it felt good.
It did. Another great event. We also talked about, let's see. Build together, play together. Oh, okay. What's NRPA theme for 2020? Build together, play together. 40
So-
years of Park and Rec.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
we do Park and Rec Month in July, we follow the theme that gets put out by NRPA, National Recreation Park Association. So that's the build together, play together is the theme. Last year it was You Belong, I want to say. So that just kind of helps us in our planning for Park and Rec Month. And at that subcommittee meeting, again, we shared the framework of what we did last year and explored building on our ever popular s'mores event.
Yes,
making
that's,
it-
yeah.
Maybe an even more robust evening because we know that it's successful. And we did something similar with Festival of Lights and maybe doing something with that.
Yeah, and we did talk about exploring adding beer and wine at that event, but the license fee seems, oh wait, no, we're talking about a movie? Possibly adding a movie?
We're fleshing that out, yeah.
Yeah, we're fleshing it out. Yeah. Anyways,
Lots of good events. All right, then we have the concerts in the park subcommittee meeting, which we talked about. Anything that we need to add? We talked about the fundraising, and I think that was the main topic of conversation. Okay. And then we had a senior subcommittee meeting held on February 4th. I was in that. And Nicole graciously sent notes right before this meeting.
I love that. Thank you, Nicole.
Spoiled.
So a couple of things to report. The age-friendly action plan was approved. We saw that at our last meeting. So Mayor Lenz and Councilmember Kern are assigned to the age-friendly subcommittee, and they will look at our age-friendly projects grants and further discuss those topics. And one of the things we talked about is, you know, it's interesting because in our town, you qualify for a lot of the activities if you are 55 or older as a senior. And we want to focus more on, you know, helping all of our seniors, not just those that are already engaged. We have a great group that is already engaged and they're doing great things, but we also have seniors who may not be engaged, and how do we engage them? And one of the things we talked about was like what you want at 55 or 60 is probably a lot different from when you're 65. So we talked about maybe, of course, 55 and older counts as a senior, but as the senior committee, we are going to focus our attention on 65 and older. In terms of what we're doing, and just so that we can go deeper for that segment of the population. It's not like we'll ignore the others, but we do want to focus our efforts there.
Sounds good.
Jeff shared the senior monthly calendar, which I wish I had with me because it was so pretty and vibrant. It had beautiful hearts and it was lovely and lots of activities. We are exploring adding a second agile aging course, which I think we talked about last time. And there are just so many things that are happening in the Sunrise Room. So we went over all of them. We are also dropping off copies of the Star in the Sunrise Room, copying them off, and also copies of the communication survey. We talked about maybe getting a bench on visitation so that people who are doing errands and walking will have somewhere to sit. I talked about offering a change management class for some of our seniors. And Ricardo brought up the idea of having a text hotline for seniors, which could be really helpful, and also looking at more volunteer opportunities. So I think those were some of the highlights, but lots going on there.
Great for the 55 to 65 seniors to be the volunteers
Yeah.
and promote that, because I had no idea that I was part of that club, right? And it was nice to know, nice to be included. So I don't know if there's some PR we can do around that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good point. Most people don't know that that's the case, and I think that they don't think of themselves that way.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not yet.
Admitted.
I'm trying to wrap my head around being 62. How did that happen?
Yeah, and part of it is like if you are, a senior who's maybe not yet retired and, you're raising kids still, whatever is happening in your life, like how do we provide assistance and support for you at that phase in your life as you're, as you're looking at needs, the needs are going to be different.
Yeah, they're going to be way different. And I agree. I think focusing on 65 and up
That's smart.
is smart. Yeah.
All right, so anything else on that? Then we just go to setting our subcommittee meetings. Do we have any recommendations on?
I think the only thing from our like concerts meeting, we said we don't need to have one until March. All the others, I'm open to timelines.
Public art is already scheduled for next Tuesday.
Oh, gosh. Sorry. I'm alarmed.
I think that I don't see any that I feel like we need to schedule. Okay. Does everyone agree with that we had a lot of meetings
Yeah.
last month, so maybe we're good on meetings.
And work has to be done before meetings can happen again. I think there's still a lot of work to be done. So,
All right, so
18th? Sorry, 18th for public art? Okay.
yeah. And commissioners, are there any commissioner reports?
nope.
Mm-hmm.
All right, how about staff reports?
Oh, yes. I always have a staff report to share out. We just had Artist Evening of Sharing last Saturday, and it was a packed house. Probably, I'd say 160 people and 16 acts. It was lovely. So always kudos to Beth, Sharon, Gabi, Jojo, and Aaron. And then Sarah was also behind the lights at one point. So it's a really fun event. That same day, we had a habitat restoration event as well, 50 people, I believe. That evening, there was a parents' night out event where we accommodated, I think it was about 18 kids at that event. So the 8th was a busy day. Sure. At the Artist Evening of Sharing event last year, we had offered for the seniors, if interested, to hop in the transit van. And we extended that same invite this last year. So while we had 7 that originally signed up, we ended up bringing 4. And of the 4, 3 had never attended the event. And they said
Oh.
really it was because they didn't want to either drive at night or they just didn't have anyone else to go with them. So I think that's pretty awesome, and we plan to
Awesome.
continue to accommodate. We did also have some low mobility seating at the event, so they were sitting on the floor and had reserved space. So always trying to have our age-friendly lens on. There was also a middle school dance that took place where 100 teens, just about 100 teens came and danced the night away. I will say they're starting to dance again. That's exciting. I think there was like a few years where they just were not having it. They wanted to do the games and not dancing. So happy to report dancing was done. Congratulations to our 8th grade boys basketball for their championship win. And if you didn't see, they were recently acknowledged at the city council meeting. Baseball season is starting. So I know Jeff and Ricardo are working hard with all of the work that goes into that. Our spring and summer camp registration is now open, and that's specifically our summer camp for our in-house programs, and then there'll be another date where we'll have our other contracted programs. With spring swim lessons, again, already open, and they will begin in April. And then we do have our popular leader in training program. The applications are open, and they are open until April 25th. And with all those wonderful programs that we do, we have openings for staff. So lifeguards, swim instructors, and recreation leaders. And you can find that information on CalOps. That's always where we post our details, and I think it's brisbaneca.org/jobs takes you directly to that link as well. And we have another Parents' Night Out coming up on the 15th, which coincides with Spring Thing. So we're always trying to be mindful of if we know something's going on where we can tag team a Parents' Night Out to it to hopefully provide some added support for families. We try and do that. And I think that's it.
There was that. Do we need to report on that as far as facilities?
That might be like something we could ask about.
Okay, I forgot. Maybe, I don't know
This could
how,
be your commissioner report.
maybe my commissioner report, I left something out. Can I
Yeah.
jump in real quick? Okay, at the city council meeting, a few of us showed up and talked about the old community center and how we felt that it needed to be maintained, and possibly some ideas for using it in the future as park and rec space. But mostly just saying this is a facility that is part of our city, and we really wanted to bring it to the city council that it would be good if the roof was fixed. I know they're doing a study. They've already, anyways, stood up there, talked about it, and I guess the result was that they funded fixing the roof. Is this true? I didn't stay to the end of the meeting.
I'm hearing that the roof was repaired recently, but within the context of the city council meeting, the city manager is working with the county representatives to pursue funding to consider improvements for the community center and old library. So nothing's been funded yet, but they are having those conversations.
Yeah, so positive results in that direction. Okay, great. That's just what I wanted to report. Okay.
Yeah, and that is, it was nice to hear that at the city council meeting because, it's something we've talked about as a commission and kind of high on the list for when we start our Friends of. That's where all of that beer and wine money could go.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about, whenever we tour our facilities and we see the need, and year after year we say, this needs to get fixed. So I was just there, Julie was there, we were, just to put that forward, and I think it got a good reception, better reception than I expected, so.
All right, thank you. If we're all through with reports, I think we can go on to commission matters. And do we have any written communication?
We do not.
All right. With that, we're going to adjourn this meeting at 7:21 p.m. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be March 12th. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great
Well
job.
done.